I graduated from college in January of 1970 from Rutgers, and I had a degree in political science and Italian without teaching credits. I was looking for a job, and I quite frankly didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And so I had a job as a night watchman for several months, and then I hitchhiked to California, spent time on the road for, I'd say, 6 weeks, came back to New Jersey and started looking in seriousness for a job. And I answered an ad in the New York Times that said wanted someone who speaks French, German, and Italian. And I did speak Italian and German, and I sort of figured I could learn French if I had to, and I knew a few words. I might be able to get by until I learned it. And it turned out what they wanted was I worked for an international department of a publishing company, and they wanted somebody who had traveled overseas, who had lived overseas. I'd gone to high school in Italy, and I had traveled before throughout Europe, and they hired me, but only after I took a typing test. And so I was able to type fairly fastly. I got the job. It was in a small department, and I had a mentor. There was 5 of us, and my mentor, Tom Begner, who was head of the department, would basically assign me multiple tasks. And if you work in a publishing company, there are a lot of different jobs that overlap, or to use a cliche, you wear many hats in small business. And so he would ask me to empty the garbage, and I would. He'd ask me to write mailing lists, labels back then, laboriously one at a time without a computer, and I did. And then 3 months into the job, he asked me if I'd like to go to the Frankfurt Book Fair and sell books. And of course I said yes. I was been locked in with a suit and a tie in a cubicle like Dilbert back in the 70s and dying to get out. So I traveled in Europe for 6 or 7 weeks and learned the craft of selling college reference books to bookstores overseas. And that ended at the Frankfurt Book Fair, where we sold translation rights. And it really gave me a very quick apprenticeship, learning the wider area of publishing. Subsequently, he sent me to trips to South America and to Asia. This was in 1970-71. And then Tom was promoted to a professional and reference department, and I followed him basically, and became an advertising manager and a sales manager after spending a certain amount of time learning the ropes and doing that. So I had a good broad New York background publishing experience. The company was bought out. It was one of the first mergers in publishing back in 1983, I believe. Prentice Hall bought us out. I was a bachelor, and they gave me a severance pay of $1,000, and I was able to collect unemployment for a year. And I thought I was rich and free. And my lease on my apartment expired, and so I traveled again across America for a year, to Mardi Gras, down to Florida, across the country. And then I had a very strange job working for a company called College Marketing Group, in which I drove a bookmobile starting in September in northern New York or Maine, when the fall cold was coming, winter was coming. And I would work my way south down to Florida, and in March the truck would come back up, and I would visit 100 campuses on the eastern seaboard. I met my wife on the book truck. I had about 2,000 volumes. She's a college professor, and she walked on the truck in Little Rock, Arkansas, and as we both say, she never got off, or I stayed with her. And she had just been offered a teaching job in Hawaii. So I came to Hawaii and looked for work and didn't really find anything that I wanted to do. There were a lot of smaller sales types of jobs, selling insurance or real estate. And so I ended up working for publishers from the mainland, visiting bookstores, visiting schools and libraries. And then in 1978, the Constitutional Convention passed that mandated that Hawaiian history, language, and culture be taught in the schools. And we bought the rights to 2 out-of-print textbooks that 2 mainland publishers had published years before and let go out of print. So we bought the rights to those. We had some people who worked in College of Ed revise and update the books. And because I'd visited all the schools, I knew there was a pent-up demand for curriculum content at the time. And it got us kick-started. So that's how I actually got started in publishing. What drew me and has kept me all these years, I think, is the fact that I do love to read. I love to travel. I love to eat. I like to do a lot of things in life, and books reflect that interest that I have. I have children. As a result, I think we published a lot of children's books a long time ago. It certainly made me more aware of what parents could or should have locally. And a lot of life has, as you experience, I think, or enjoy it, or travel and encounter it, can be seen through a book. And again, I like to read a lot. And now that it's been a business for 30 some years, I think in that mindset.